Hi, I'm Andrew Fowler from Upland River Conservation, and this project is called the Catchment Sensitive Farming project. To start with, it is a study group of beef farmers farming on extensive veld, and then beyond that it involves the formation of an organisation to represent all farmers and landowners in this Midmar catchment.
There is two subcatchments up in the headwaters. There's the Umgeni, Upper Umgeni, and then there's the Umkomazi catchment, also part of the Nzinga Valley. We have communal farming on the one hand, commercial farming on the other in the adjacent subcatchments. And this project is essentially trying to bring those together, bring communal beef farming and commercial beef farming together, but specifically with the end objective of what is going to benefit water catchments.
45% of the population of KZN relies on this water in the Umgeni system, and they tell me that 65% of the GDP of the province relies on this river.
And when you think of a bulk water storage dam that supports a couple million people with and businesses and industries with drinking water, if that water becomes compromised, number one, treatment costs have to go up.
Also, of these 4 dams, 3 of them are imperiled. This one is not. It's relatively clean, but toxic blue-green cyanobacteria have been starting to make an appearance in this dam. And we haven't had a serious drought in 10 years. The last drought we had was 2015-2016, quite a severe one. We are able to choose our response. To put it another way, we have a responsibility. We've got landowners who have a big influence, or can have a big influence, on the quality and the quantity of water coming into this dam.
The way in which veld is grazed, how it's managed, the type of burning regime, stocking rates, all of that will really impact the type of runoff, how much sediments, how much erosion happens, and therefore ultimately how clean or dirty that resultant water is downstream.
So a lot of your extensive beef farmers are starting to realize, or have already realized, that veld, you're not a beef farmer, you're a veld farmer, you're a grass farmer, and the importance of that. So the importance of having grass and healthy grass is becoming an increasingly important thing.
If you are farming cattle reasonably well and reasonably profitably, it means that your land is producing grass, and for it to produce grass it needs to absorb water, and your ecological cycles, hydrological cycles need to be intact.
This is why the regenerative ag movement is starting to gain momentum as well, because there's a premise for both. There's definitely a sweet spot between what our environment can offer and looking after that and our environment and the economics of it. Everyone is struggling to find that sweet spot, and unfortunately a lot of the times the economics make sense at the expense of the environment. So you're pushing your limits on what you can do because of the economic stress that's on you.
So productivity is often pushed at the expense of the long-term sustainability of that piece of land, of that grassland, of that veld, to be able to support it. Eventually that natural resource is going to take strain, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And so what happens on the land will affect the water.
The more water infiltration you get into the soil, the higher your productivity of your grass will be, the better your cattle's intake will be, the better the quality will be, and at the end of the day, more money in the bank. And you'll have good catchment management. So I think the two tie in almost 100%.
So that is probably, if you have to really look at big picture, the true value of these farms is actually not for the beef production. In long-term big picture stuff, it's actually the water production or storage capability of the actual landscape here. That's probably, to the country, is the most valuable. It's probably more valuable than the individual species of animals, you know, like wattle crane is probably more valuable than that, but it's not really seen, and it's certainly not calculated or paid for. You know, we just custodians of this land for a short little time, you know, while we're here. So I think you've got to look at the bigger picture, and as long as it's a positive contribution from people.
Hundreds of thousands of litres of water come off their property at a volume and a water quality which is directly influenced by what they do on the land. So the idea, you know, the end vision here is to come out with some sort of collaborative where farmers have done a bit of research into what their impacts are, had a look at whether there are things they can do to improve, and that they can become proud of what they do for the catchment and even generate a revenue stream from that, because I don't think that's an unreasonable ask. What can farmers do of their own volition with a little bit of help from us guys in the city who so desperately need their clean water? So this whole project is about saying, okay guys, let's get our ducks in a row. Let's get organized around what we can do to help this water resource.